Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. With that, it is exactly 3 o'clock, at least here at where I'm based. And it's time to start our keynote, how to create a sticky and meaningful online experience. Welcome to you all. My name is Gerrit Heijkoop, and I'm very proud and honored to be able to join you and hopefully educate a little bit about online events, about my experience with online events. And I want to try out a lot of stuff. And that's why when we just figured out only, I must admit, only a few minutes ago, I figured out we're not in a Zoom meeting, but we're in a Zoom webinar, which is slightly differently working. And that's why you're all being promoted to a panelist, because the first thing I want to do together is create a nice little group photo. And for those of you who are new in this environment, this is where it works in a minute. If I stop sharing my screen, in the bottom left corner, you can see your audio and video controls. So make sure you turn your camera on, you look your nicest and put your best smile on. And then in a minute, in the top right corner, once I stop sharing my screen, you should have the opportunity to switch to gallery view. And that gives you a view of all these nice little boxes of all the people joining. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. This should then also change your interface and give you the opportunity in the top right bottom or top right corner to switch to gallery view. Can I get a thumbs up if you're seeing all our participants? Yes, 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 most of the thumbs. Okay, so now we can do something that makes this unforgettable, and that is take our official group photo. So make sure you don't put your phone in front of your face, because then we all see only telephone screens. So this is my photo for you. Those of you who are joining later, make sure you switch on your camera as soon as you can. Switch your view to gallery view. So this is our group photo for today. At least you are the ones who were here early. And then obviously, like in a real event, we will also want a group selfie, right? So I'll take a selfie, switch the camera and show you where you are joining me from. Woohoo! Thank you, audience. Right. So here's the first little gimmick that you can do specifically in smaller meetings of up to 20, 30, 40, perhaps 50 people. I see we're now with 26 here. This is what the gallery view is like. It's nice to actually see each other face to face briefly. And like I said, we can check if everything is working. We can do a thumbs up. Everybody still doing okay? Can hear me okay? Ready to go? I see all thumbs up. Great. Thanks a lot. I'll go back into sharing my screen, and then unfortunately, this pretty view will disappear, but we might use it back again later as well. Because what are we going to do here today? Well, as just proven, I want to try out a lot of stuff. I mean, an online meeting about online meetings, I'm going to try to practice as much what I preach as I can. And that means, this is a disclaimer up front, it is a little bit exaggerated. Normally, in 45 minutes, I wouldn't make you go through so many different activities and toolings and stuff, but that's just for the purpose of having the experience of trying that out. Because that is lesson number one, the most important thing you should do right now when you want to learn more about how to create sticky and meaningful online event programs is go participate in as many online events as you can as an audience member. And reflect, take some notes, make sure you have some pen or paper or something digital, and reflect on your own experience in all these different events that you participate in. Write down what you like, what you don't like, and that is the best way as a program designer, as an online event experience designer, to learn. So here's your first, or actually your second assignment. At the end of this session, I will open up a little Slido poll and ask you about your key takeaways. So please, during the session, keep track of all the insights that you might have and share them with us together. I will then republish this, all your insights, all our collective insights, to a LinkedIn post so we can all benefit from our collective insights together. Second, I'm going to have two little segments with a typical presentation style. I'm going to show you some examples of the different types of online events you can produce. And I'm going to kickstart your thinking about how to design your own online event program. And then somewhere in the middle between those two, you're going to get the opportunity to win 20 euros. Well, this 20 euros is not for you, but it's the winner gets to determine to what charity I will donate my 20 euros. So you can start thinking about that if you're going to win in the middle. And then my aim is, of course, to answer as many questions as I can. But I learned last night that we are very time constrained, which is a bit weird in an online venue, right? Because we could hang as long as we want. But this exact same Zoom room has to be used by the person next to us. So in the very end, I'll share a secret link to a little post-session hangout that we can have with the speaker. I think someone has their mic open, so double check in the bottom left corner if your mic's on mute, unless I ask you to tell us something. This is all about trust, people. So first experiment, who do we have in the room? What I really like, oh, this was the ending, right? Now, what I really like in online events is to work with a broadcasting like we are. So this video, the screen, and I use a tool like Slido for audience interactivity. And probably most of you who've been in live events have been using Slido before. If you have not, now is the time to take a second screen, whether that's your mobile, a laptop, or just a browser window on your laptop as well. Surf to slido.com. And if it asks for an event code, the event code of our event today is Gerrit. My first name might help you to remember. And there you see the typical audience Q&A panel that you might be used to from Slido. But I've tweaked the settings a little bit in a way that it's displaying all the messages chronologically. So you can still upvote questions, you can still reply with each other, but that now turned it much more into some kind of a live chat. And I already also posted the first question. Please let us know here in the chat where you're joining us from. And we see Roy is joining us from the UK, formerly known as a part of the EU. We have Eefke from Haarlem. We have Glenn from Maasland. Alina from Germany. We have an international crowd here today. Marie Inger from Beverwijk. Welcome, everyone. And I invite you to keep this open on the side, kind of as a side chat. I know that there's also a chat functionality in the Zoom environment. But like I said, I want us to try out as many different tools as we can. So that's why I chose this one. And it also gives me the opportunity to push a quick first poll to you, because I'd like to find out who you are and what your experience is. So I just pushed go live. Your interface should have been changed and switched to the polling function. And I have 5 little polls there. First question, have you ever participated in an online event before? What do you really like about online meetings and events? What are your biggest frustrations? And pick one. I mean, it's not about being complete about all your frustration. Pick your biggest ones. Then on a scale to 1 to 10, how would you rate your own knowledge and experience and expertise about online events? And last question, for this specific session, do you already have a specific case of an online event that you're thinking about and that you would like to make more sticky and meaningful, because that's the aim of this session, of course. In the meantime, let's see if you're finding your way into Slido and if you're submitting your votes already. We can obviously fill the void with a little background music while people are filling that in. Take your time. I can quickly review my participant list, see if everybody's on mute. Well, I think reading is doing that for me as well. Let's see some of the first results. While most of you are still working, I'm aware of that. It comes with the nature of the open questions, of course. So far, we have 10 people submitting their votes, saying 73%. So 8 people say, yes, I have participated in online events before. The others say, well, I've been into online meetings, which I consider something else as an online event, and I do too. That's why I make the distinction here. Online meetings is stuff we do all day, right? We hang out in Zooms and Hangouts and WebEx and whatever the tool of preference is. And then an online event is much more like an experience, like you would participate in a physical event as well. I see 18 of us have filled that out, so let me move on to the next result. And this is also to demo Slido for those of you who've never used that before. Another type of question, what do you like about online meetings? And I represented the results as a word cloud. Well, at this moment, that doesn't make much sense to me because apparently all of you use the word international. Let's interpret that in a way that it allows to gather an international crowd very easy. It saves time, I think, speakers and polls. Now, the beauty is, as an organizer, I can obviously later go in and download all your answers and use that to my big manifesto about what my audience loves about online events, some of the 10 biggest mentioned benefits or something. Next poll, that's a different set of polls. So what is your biggest frustration about online meetings? And this is an open answer question, and I can actually scroll through the answers. So let's read out a few. Technical flaws, sometimes boring, not meeting in real, technical issues, internet flaws, network connection, goes too fast probably, announcers still afraid of tech, technical problems, technical problems, technical problems, technical problems. That's kind of the key lining here. Now, there's good news for you. Online meetings have been around for more than 10 years. Online live streaming meetings, definitely more than 8 years. So technically, there's nothing that should go wrong. Obviously, like in any event, like in a physical event, there's stuff that can go wrong, but it often is a matter of the investment you're willing to make in the quality and the backup quality of your technical setup. In essence, you can have a plan B, plan C, and plan D for any technical failure that could occur. But I agree with most of you, in a lot of places, this could be an annoyance. Next question, how would you rate your expertise? Let's see who we have in the room. Well, we have a fairly mixed audience. We have some people who have quite some knowledge and expertise about online events. 32% would rate themselves as 7. And then the rest of you in the majority is on the low side, 3 to 5. So that's good. Some knowledge and expertise, and let's see how we can bring that further. And then most important, kind of triggers and steers me on how to run the last part of this meeting. Do you have a specific case? A little less than half of you, if I had to guess, 42% of 24 people, that's about 10 of you have a specific case in mind. The other 60% doesn't yet. So I'll keep that in mind when I give you these little assignments to work on your own case, that more than half of you don't have a case at this moment. Well, thank you for participating. Keep this Slido poll open. Keep the chat open. I'll close the poll right now. So then you'll see that the live chat function is back on. Let's switch that music on. We're back. We're back in the poll. So before we move on, quick introduction about live online events. Let me answer the same questions that I just asked to you in the poll. Have I participated in online events before? Yes, we've been producing and running online events since 2009. Started off back then as Twitter reporters, social media reporting to involve a crowd that wasn't physically there, quickly advanced to live streaming, interactive live streaming, and we've been going ever strong since then. So what we really like about online events is obviously the opportunity to attract new audiences, a more international crowd, a different age group, a different geographical area. Online events allow for much more interaction because your audience is on their keyboard or phone all the time, so they can participate asked and unasked. I'll make a note about if you're chatting right now and why I don't respond a little later in the presentation. It's a great opportunity for new revenue streams, new sponsorships, e-learning platforms, and all that things for meetings. I believe it leads to better education because we're already suffering from death by PowerPoint in many live events. Now, in an online event, your audience has the opportunity to just switch off. So you have to even be more keen on how to create something that really sticks. And of course, it's more sustainable. And I don't mean that solely by the fact that online participants don't have to travel to a physical event space, because history actually shows us that those organizers who have been running online events see their audience grow over the years because people who participate virtually understand that this is an amazing event they want to be part of the next time. But it's also more sustainable from a content perspective because obviously anything you run online has the opportunity to be recorded and repurposed for many, many years to come. So there, the investment in your content is also much more secured. And the last question, how about our own knowledge and expertise? Well, we're very proud to be the winners of no less than 2 European Best Event Webcasting Awards. So I think we can lean on quite some knowledge and experience, and I'm here today to share that with you. So much for an opening part. Are we still all doing okay? Can I see a quick thumbs up? Everybody sound okay, feeling okay, drinks and food ready? You have to take care of that one yourself on this one. Let's move on quickly. First segment, examples of different types of events you can produce. Well, a great thinking model is this scale from a 100% virtual situation to the physical event situation that we're used to. And let's be hopeful that we'll soon be back in a scenario where at least smaller meetings are possible and soon after that, bigger meetings are possible as well. Well, I'll use this scale to kind of plot different examples of online events to kind of help your imagination of all the different things you can do. Let's start on the far left. What if nobody can or wants to travel? Currently it's can, maybe in the future your audience isn't that inclined to travel to big meetings again. First thing you can do is use, for example, YouTube as your global virtual stage. This is what the European Association for Osseointegration does. These are implant dentists. And for them, we produce a monthly live Q&A. So every month on their YouTube channel, I connect with a leading expert in implant dentistry. It's on a Monday evening, it's 8:30. We start with a brief introduction and then it's just ask me anything. So we use the YouTube live chat function for people to submit as many questions as they can. And I must admit it's quite successful. We always aim for about a 60-minute session. And the reality so far is that always after 75 minutes, we really had to cut off and say, well, sorry for all the questions that we didn't get to answer. Hopefully see you back next month. And the beauty is we have about 350 to 450 participants live on that Monday evening. But then obviously those recordings are immediately available to anybody searching the topic on the internet, because YouTube is your biggest search engine of the web. And we see within weeks, these numbers double, triple, quadruple easily. So the reach of this online content is massive as well. Another way is a virtual meeting, kind of like we're having today. So an online event every Friday afternoon now at 3 o'clock, we have discussing creative opportunities with live online events. It's our own little micro event. And one of the fun things we did last Friday is, for example, like here today, we had a virtual waiting room, which is a best practice tip. I think it comes down later as well, but always make sure your online event started a little earlier than your official starting time. Make sure you have some music and image playing so everybody can see and check that their systems are running well. And last Friday, we had a very nice opening. You heard an acoustic guitar playing. Cameras were off. And then at 3 o'clock, when we're supposed to start, we switched on the camera of this mystery participant. And it was Gerrit Alderliefste, who was playing live from his bedroom. And this was actually, Gerrit Alderliefste has played a lot with Ramses Shaffi and Lisbeth List. And as you might remember, Friday was the day that Lisbeth List died. So he played a live song, Vivre, in our virtual hangout as a starter. Well, I can tell you that really provided us a lot of goosebumps. So this is stuff you can do to quickly make a 100% virtual event that we're soon all be used to, like we are today, a lot more experiential. But in the end, especially a few weeks down the road, I think we're all kind of fed up and done with these Zoom meetings, webinars. I mean, you have good ones, you have bad ones, but the whole format itself is maybe slightly boring. So what can you do to make that a little bit more vibrant? Well, I see some familiar faces in the crowd here this afternoon. So some of you might have been part of this little event last week. It was the ICA COVID-19 webinar. We gathered about 3,000 people globally in an afternoon program. And we had our speakers virtually through Zoom. We had our panelists virtually through Zoom. However, we were broadcasting this on the ICA website using Slido as a side chat tool. And to spice it up a little bit and to give it a little bit more feel of an experience, we had the host, which was me, in a meeting room at the ICA head office talking to a screen. For our Dutch audience members, you might be familiar, if you have smaller kids, with the Sinterklaasjournaal. This is the format we call a Sinterklaasjournaal. Sinterklaasjournaal is Diewertje Blok, the host, talking to reporters through the country on a big screen. Somehow this is a way to already make the experience a little bit more dynamic, interactive, and more fun. And luckily we got some messages sent in that people really said, this was the first gripping webinar I've been in for a while. And I guess that's an achievement in the context that we live in right now. Once we're allowed to even gather with a little bit more people, the next thing you could do is still have a very small studio set up, have speakers, panelists remote, but perhaps also have some of your VIPs or guests physically in that studio as well. For example, this case we produced for Fox Networks. I don't know if some of you are a fan of The Walking Dead. In this case, you might have recognized them. These are two of the main characters in The Walking Dead. And we did a live Ask Me Anything for fans on Facebook and Instagram Live. So we used a modulator to actually have the professional camera signals also go to Instagram Live. And this was over 500,000 people watched this live broadcast, but this is vanity figures. Obviously, a public aired international TV show gets a lot of traction on social media. But just to show that these social platforms can really help you quickly reaching a lot of people. Moving further to the right on the scale, what you could also do is this case. This is the Dutch Association for Neurology, and this is what happened about 3 weeks ago, and this is right before we were moving into the lockdown as we are right now. This was a typical 2-day medical education event. We got a bit lucky because by nature this was quite a simple program, 8 speakers a day for 2 days, 1 plenary stage. And this event would take place on Thursday and Friday. On the Sunday, the board decided that they didn't feel comfortable bringing 500 medical specialists to a conference venue. They said, let's go online. In this case, we kept a lot of the things the same. We kept the speakers, we kept the hosts, we kept some kind of a stage, but instead of having the chairs with the physical audience there, that's where our cameras were. And we guided our speakers to delivering their presentations to the cameras, which then were very interactive presentations because this was accredited medical education. So these speakers already had 4 to 5 polls during the presentations. They were 20-minute presentations, then 10-minute Q&As hosted by the moderators that you see on the left there. And we were able to really get some interactive session going. The beauty was on the Sunday, they had a little less than 500 registrations for this event. They kept the registration the same and they kept the payment the same because they had all these sunk costs anyway. And they saw in those 3-4 days that the registrations, the paid registrations actually grew by more than 10%. So in the end, they were able to gather more doctors to get their education going. Question you might have, well, you mentioned 8 speakers a day for 2 days. Will people ever go online so long, right? That's what we think about a lot. What's the ideal length of an online event? And here's a first giveaway. There's no such answer. It really depends on your audience, the aim, the interactivity, the cadence that you provide. In this case, we requested them to email us photos of how and where they were watching. And the photos just started to get better. Obviously, in the first few hours, they were a bit disappointed. They didn't get to come together. They didn't get to have the dinner and the party. But soon they realized that it's also beneficial to be able to be in the comfort of your own home or office and consume the educational content that you need. I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying it's a good experience in itself if it's on purpose like that. Now, what if we ever get to physical events again? Well, then you would run something that we've been doing for years, and that is obviously capture the content on your stage with a few cameras, make sure that people are easily following that online, and then add a little back of the house studio. Here you see an event for Interact, which is a body of the, or somehow part of the European Commission, handing out funds for research projects across Europe. And in their annual forum, we would broadcast the key sessions on stage. During the breaks, we would provide additional content, exclusive Q&A with speakers. And on your right, you see a panel of specialists who were answering as many of the project-related or funding-related questions of the viewers as they could. In this way, providing a real valuable experience as well. And I want to end with this last case for the European Society for Organ Transplantation. This was a huge project we did in October 2019. We've been working for this society for a long time. And this time we said, instead of picking and choosing and trying to keep people together at a certain moment in an online event, why don't we flip it around? We know doctors are busy. We know we intend to aim for a global audience, so Asia, Europe, Americas. Why don't we make it easy for them and just go live for 24 hours during each day of the Congress? In this way, we would broadcast live sessions during the day. Then in the evening, we would rebroadcast the morning sessions for the people in the Americas who woken up. And then later, early in the night, we would rebroadcast sessions from the afternoon for the people in Asia. And we would intermix that with specific content, promoted content, sponsored content, anything. And you can see how we made a full broadcasting schedule for the full 24 hours. So this was to the online audience very simple. If you want to have a piece of this conference going on right now, this is the URL, check in anytime you want. We also did some more fun stuff. We had a co-located event. So this was in the evening in Copenhagen, in the morning at Stanford University in California. There was a room over there, there was a room over here, speakers on both sides. They talked with each other. And in this photo, you actually see one of a third location, a speaker in Washington, who was also joining this virtual panel as well. And we had a session where one of the pharma sponsors hosted 10 groups in 10 different hospitals in China, they had their own little satellite event. Obviously, our broadcast feed was then the key component of the content of this satellite meeting, but the sponsor was able to have these people on site and put little extra offline program elements on adjacent to that. And then we provided these Chinese hospitals a live link with the speakers they had just been watching, an exclusive Q&A, and this was all then broadcasted to the rest of the world as well. Very quick, I know, but just to give you a first overview of the different types of online events you could create, the different type of production setups you can create, and that would then probably help you in your creative thinking about how to create a meaningful and sticky online event experience. Let me quickly check the Slido chat if there's any pressing questions pushing at the moment. No, we see more people submitting where they're from. Welcome all, very international crowd. Let me quickly check the chat over here if there's any pressing messages, and then we'll move on quickly. Yes, okay, thank you, Kareem, for promoting that. Just for the sake of having that moment, quickly gonna stop my share, quickly have the gallery view. Are we still doing okay? Can we get a quick thumbs up? Everybody there, sound okay, video okay? Thank you for all the smiles. Love to see you all. Let's continue. We're gonna have some fun, and you need your phone for that, because this is the point where you're gonna be able to win the 20 euros that you get to spend to any charity of your choice. Yes, that's what I just said. I had a slide for that. So what we do, another tool that you might have been using in your physical events as well, it's Kahoot. So for those of you who have their phones out already, open a web browser, surf to kahoot.it, and we're going to run a very quick 4-question Kahoot quiz. Let me get to the Kahoot interface. There we are. Here you can see the game pin. Game pin of this event is 3445333. It's going to ask you to submit a nickname. And as soon as you've done that, you will see your name appearing here on the screen. I see Paulus and Heijkoop are doing that. Tati is joining. Lynn is there. Wen is there. All right. Great job. Annelies, Maatje, Mark, Coco, PKC. Now, for those of you who've never participated in a Kahoot quiz, there's 2 things you should pay attention to. First thing is selecting the right answer. You will see the answers here on screen. The answer options, and I will read them out as well. And on your mobile phone, you see 4 colored boxes. It's about clicking the right colored box. Correct answer makes you, obviously, provides you with points, but also the quicker you are, the more points you get. Everybody ready? There we go. The online event experience that stick quiz, question number 1. A true or false question. You can use the same Zoom license with multiple colleagues at the same time. Is this true? It's blue. If it's false, it's red. Submit your answer as quick as you can. If everybody has submitted, oh yeah, and I should have said you have a maximum of 30 seconds to answer. There we go. We say 18 people voted true, 8 people voted false. The correct answer is false. And the essence here is, of course, you can use the same Zoom license with multiple people. You can share the login. But maybe you've had that happen over the course of this week. You see that if your colleague then starts to log in or starts a meeting, they kick your meeting out. So the essence here is at the same time, something to be aware of. And let me make a small comment about the current things about Zoom. If Zoom is not your weapon of choice, take another one. It's about getting together. Well, this is a good point. We at Live Online Events, we're not married to any type of tool. We are about creating online event experience, and we use whichever tool is fit for the project. Yes, we like Zoom, but we can use other tools as well. So hybrid was the best and the quickest. D number 2, SHEP number 3. Let's quickly move on. Question number 2. Hands on the buttons. What is a virtual waiting room? Is that red, a place where people wait and chat when there's no content on air? Or is it blue, the queue of people waiting for tech support during an online event? Is it yellow, moving images and or sound about 30 minutes before your online event starts? Or is it green, your list of registered participants for your next online event? 10 seconds left to answer. We see 23 answers in, 25. I think everybody is there. fun option. I can also have 2 correct answers in Kahoot, and here you see both red and yellow were correct. In total, 18 people provided the right answer. And I think I touched on that briefly as a first best practice. Make sure you start your meeting, have some sound and music going so people can see and feel that their live stream is working properly. Takes away a lot of the uncertainty. D has moved to first place, Shep has moved to second place, and Daniela is moving up the ranks as third. Question number 3, there we go. What is the biggest risk of streaming your event to YouTube and or Facebook? Is that red, that your live stream will go viral? Or blue, that your live stream will be found by new audiences forever? Or yellow, that trolls will ruin your live chat function? And green, that your live stream will be pulled off air by Facebook or YouTube? 10 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A very blended answer. And that's probably because you're thinking, well, these are all risks. Yes, these are all risks that could happen, but obviously red and blue are good things. If your live stream goes viral and you intend to reach a big audience, that is exactly what you want. Also, I already mentioned, YouTube is one of the biggest search engines on the web. So if you have your content on YouTube, it will be found forever. Really beneficial if you want that. The trolling is a risk, but the bigger risk is if you run on social media. And for example, you work with a lot of different speakers. And one of these speakers has a funny movie clip in their presentations that they don't own the rights to, or they cannot prove that they own the rights to, something from a motion picture of a piece of music from Spotify or anything from a popular artist. Facebook and YouTube will detect this live. If you're lucky, your live stream goes on blank and say this live stream is temporarily blanked, and it will restart once the music bit is over. If you're unlucky, it will take down your entire live stream. So yes, streaming to social media is a great opportunity, but take this into consideration. We have a new ranking. Lynn is moving up the ranks really quickly, and Hybrid is back in shape as well. We're ready for the last question. Question number 4, think about the 20 euros. Why should you use more interaction in an online event program? Is it red? Because people have their fingers on the device almost all the time anyway. Is it blue? Interactivity reinforces learning and engagement. Yellow, once your audience switches off, you can almost never get them back. Or green, audience interaction costs a lot of time. Why should you use more interaction? 5 seconds. And everybody has answered. Lucky you, nobody got it wrong. They're all 3 very right? People are on a device so they can participate all the time. Interactivity does reinforce learning, and difference with a physical event, in a physical event, people can turn off easily as well. They have their office with them, they go on email, on social media, whatever they want, but then at least they're still stuck in a seat in your venue. So if anything happens, you might get them back. In an online event, you run the risk of people closing down the broadcast and moving away, never getting them back. However, the reality is often more nuanced. What we see is people keep a live stream running in the back and they go email or do other stuff, but maybe later when they hear something happening that is sparking their interest again, they might be coming back as well. But that's why it's so important to have interactivity like this. Okay, here's the podium. Third place is for Shep. Congratulations, Shep, well done. Second place goes to D. D, congratulations, we don't know your name. And this quiz is won by Lynn. Congratulations, Lynn. Can we give a big virtual round of applause? And this is then also the moment that I'm gonna, yes, we're done. Lynn, this is the moment where you get to open your microphone. And I'll actually, let me quickly stop the share so we can see Lynn. Lynn, where are you? Lynn, turn on your camera and your microphone. We'd like to see some live feed of you.
Hi.
Hey, congratulations. Are you Lynn? It says Utah.
Yes, that's my boss account, so I'm actually using her account.
you're sharing accounts.
That's why my first question, the answer was wrong.
Exactly. So let's hope your boss is not starting a Zoom meeting anytime soon, because they will kick you out. Utah, tell us where you're from.
From Germany.
All right. Well, welcome. Which charity are we going to donate the 20 euros to?
The Red Cross in Spain, please.
All right, I will do that for you on your behalf. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, let's quickly move on because we have only 10 minutes left and I think I have to use my speaker overflow room for all the questions. So let's spend some time on how to create an online event. And before we get into that, you need to kind of have an overview of all the things you need to think of in an online event project. And since it's spring now, I've kind of visualized that as a little flower. And this little flower has basically, oh, activate this one again. There we go. Has 4 little leaves: program design, technology, online hosting, and communication and promotion. These are typical, also the elements that you will see in a typical project plan, probably the elements that you will see in a typical online event budget as well. And as you can imagine, all these leaves have little baby leaves on the side of all the different elements that you will go into. And this then also kind of structures the whole debate about tooling. Should I use Zoom? Should I use something else? Yes, it's a question, but just a little micro leaf on the entire scope of the project that you need to think about. And that's why in the end, if you have a little bit experience with online events, people quickly start to say, it's not about the tooling, it's about the event design, the program design that you're going to create. Just like in physical events, yes, your conference venue is important. It might provide you with certain limitations or certain opportunities. So you need to understand it, but it's not the key thing that your project is all about. Now, for the sake of this keynote, maybe we run other keynotes at other times, I'll quickly, I will only focus on the green leaf for the rest of this presentation. But before I do that, I want to quickly point out the importance of the orange leaf, because that's also where we as live online events have definitely a certain niche. So there we talk about hosting on camera. So something like I'm doing here today, like I did last week in ICA, someone that guides your online participants through what is going to happen, how they can participate, that asks questions on their behalf. And in order to do so, and this is the cliffhanger I mentioned earlier, that I'm kind of short, I'm understaffed, because running Slido, Kahoot, Zoom chat all at the same time, and hosting you and keeping my eyes and in focus with you, I'm a couple of hands short. So we often run in a setup, and I know, Quirin, you're doing a great job. You're my technical host at the moment. But we run with a second host, often off camera, or they may appear on camera sometimes, who manages the chat, the polling, who keeps an eye on social media, can share fun stuff into the broadcast. Or, for example, like we just did with Lynn, manages whenever someone can go on air with audio and video, so that the on-camera host can really be with their attention with the online audience. And then a third type of host that you need is someone dedicated to technical support, like Quirin is doing here today. She's making sure that all of you are in the right settings so you can share your cameras. She's answering probably any questions you have about stuff not working. Keep in mind that you need someone on your team for that as well. All right, let's move into the green leaf, the most fun leaf, right? Because in a few weeks, everybody will be used to attending these online events. And how can you create something that keeps them connected, puts a smile on their face, and stays them together? Well, it starts with very simple, just like in a physical event program, understanding your audience really well. This is nothing new, but somehow it seems to be forgotten a lot when we think about online experience. Key questions to ask: who do you want to participate? Describe them as good as you can in terms of demographics, in terms of values, in terms of geographics, anything. And then obviously the second question that always matters: what actions do you want them to take after the event? Those of you who've been involved in ROI methodology, in program designing, will recognize these questions. Nothing new. Key message here: start with the same questions when you think about online events. Don't start with a discussion about tooling. This is what you should start with. Since only 40% of you have a particular case in mind, I'm going to quickly push through for the other 60%. Those of you who have a case, please take a snapshot of the slide or write the questions down and make sure this is the first thing that you write down for your case after this little keynote. Then we come to content. First thing you should do is put all your building blocks on the table. Often when you are considering an event, there's stuff you already know. There's presentations that you know that definitely need to be there, or there might be entertainment that you're used to. Again, here's a hidden hint. Make sure you interact presentations with entertainment. It's a great way to make things more fun. You might know that you already have certain VIPs on panels, but definitely also in online events, there's great opportunity for pre-produced video to run as well. Definitely an element you should consider in your online event. What do you do with catering? Um, at least think about providing moments for people to cater themselves, but even more fun, send people a shopping list, make sure they all have their favorite plant-based celebrative snack right next to them, and create a moment where we all together have our drink or have our snack, because we can still have shared food experiences, just not from the same cook maybe, but definitely a lot of things you can do. And we've just experienced how much fun it can be to have a little gaming in your online event as well. Please add those elements. And then obviously you're going to scatter those out over the available time and planning. And here's a few key pointers I want to make. In a physical event, we're very constrained by the venue and by the fact that we need to have everybody at the same place within a certain time frame. That's why you see, for example, large conferences, we have 26 parallel tracks, all the things happening at the same time. Now, in an online environment, you don't necessarily have that constraint. You could do that. You could say, let's cramp everything into 3 days, but you can just as easy make it 10 days. Or for example, like you see here in Network Connect, today is the kickoff day, but they have already planned days for the next 8 weeks in advance. And every Thursday or every other day, you can participate in online sessions. 2 best practices. The second one I mentioned already. First one, if you're catering to a global audience, if you quickly think about the time zones, there is kind of a sweet spot between 2 and 5 o'clock that you should be able to gather a global crowd. Obviously, it's very late for the people in New Zealand, Australia. It's a little bit better in Asia already. Europe is fine. And then people in the Americas will be able to join as well in the early morning. West Coast is a bit tricky, but this in regards to timing. So here you can see, you can already start to design with the boundaries of your time frame, the elements that you already have. And then the last thing you should really do, and we saw that in the quiz already, is really powerful. Think about how can you sprinkle meaningful interaction moments throughout this program. Questions, Q&A, idea submission, polling, harvesting ideas of group work, giving people some time for reflection and thinking, having people go in breakouts, do group work, come back, share a workspace. And the 3 most important reasons why you need that is, first of all, to get some togetherness feeling, right? We're all distant, we're all far apart. You saw in this online meeting, we did 2 things to at least try to get a little bit of togetherness. The fact that a lot of you become active in the Slido chat and share with us where they're joining us from, then at least we have a feeling like, oh, there's someone in Germany, there's someone in the UK, there's someone in the Netherlands. That already creates some kind of shared experience. So a live chat is a very powerful tool for that. And then what we did with turning our cameras on and having a group photo, at least we have some opportunity to see some face-to-face contact. It's not the same as proper networking, but it works. Green, I'm watching the time. Second reason, very important, is the engagement booster. You might have felt and experienced that yourself. The moment you get to fill out the polls, the moment you get to play in the games, you're much more active than when you're just listening to me talking at this moment. And then obviously through this interaction, like we just saw with Lynn, and it happens immediately. We have a laugh because Lynn shares with us that she's actually sharing the account with her boss, Yuta. So it also allows for more emotional experience as well. This makes sense, but hopefully this thinking kind of structures your designing of your online events. Now, for the sake of time, what are we going to do next? I'm going to give you, you see it in the bottom in the interaction, I'm going to shut up for about 60 to 90 seconds, and I want you to write down a brief first reflection. What have you just heard or experienced in the last 45 minutes? What have you seen? What have you thought that you could, should, or want to use when you start to organize online event experience? And what follow-up questions does this trigger? I'm now going to push live the last Slido poll, where I actually also ask you to submit the answer to the first question, which is about your key takeaways. You also have the opportunity to send some more feedback of how you experienced this session. And then I still want to answer as many questions as I can. So use the Slido tool to send in those questions or like the questions from others. And then I'll quickly in the chat share a little secret link for our secret post-session speaker hangout, because Gerrit needs to move on with this virtual Zoom environment and continue into the next session. With that, we hit 15:46. I promised Gerrit that I kept myself on time. So she's going to host the next one. For those of you who want to hang around and want to have some questions answered, please move over to Slido, slido.com/event. Hey, there you go, Gerrit. Move over to Slido and go in the event. I'll post a link in the chat right there. This is the official end of the Network Connect section, and I'm going to talk to Gerrit and Matthijs to see if we can have some reruns. These are my contact details if you want to contact me directly, loe.tv and Gerrit@loe.tv. I'm going to quickly stop the sharing so we can have a final closing wave all together. Turn off your cameras if you can. You can see 45 minutes flies if you're having fun. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to see some of you in the Slido chat and in the post-session hangout to answer as many questions as you can. Thank you for now.